What's up, guys? Welcome to the next Mike Needler's Experience video, where this week we're talking about The Power of Now, one of my very favorite books in the entire world. Probably started me on my self-development journey, to be honest, and whenever I hit low points in my life, this is the first thing that I turn to. Its fundamental philosophies totally changed how I view the world. And while I'm going to try to give you an overview of the things that impact me most, all I can say is that this book, more than almost anything else, is worth a read. And I'll put a link down in the description if you want to pick it up. Also, you might notice I lost my beard, and it feels pretty weird. It looks weird to me on camera. 99% of the time I'm rocking at least some form of beard, and this is one day after shaving, so it feels weird. But it's hot outside, so what are you going to do? Takeaway number 1, the beggar in the chest. A beggar had been sitting by the side of the road for over 30 years. One day a stranger walked by. "Spare some change?" mumbled the beggar, mechanically holding out his old baseball cap. "I have nothing to give you," said the stranger. Then he asked, "What's that you were sitting on?" "Nothing," replied the beggar. "Just an old box. I have been sitting on it for as long as I can remember." "You ever look inside?" asked the stranger. "No," said the beggar. "What's the point? There's nothing in there." "Have a look inside," insisted the stranger. The beggar managed to pry open the lid. With astonishment, disbelief, and elation, he saw that the box was filled with gold. "I am that stranger who has nothing to give you, who is telling you to look inside. Not inside any box, as in the parable, but somewhere even closer, inside yourself." "But I am not a beggar," I can hear you say. Those who have not found their true wealth, which is the radiant joy of being and the deep, unshakable peace that comes with it, are beggars, even if they have great material wealth. They are looking outside for scraps of pleasure or fulfillment, for validation, security, or love, while they have a treasure within that not only includes all those things, but is infinitely greater than anything the world can offer. When I first read that page, I was just like, damn. Damn! Damn! Damn, this is the book for me. So anyway, that's where it starts, and it just keeps getting better from there. So, point 2, you are not your mind. This was something that I've had in the back of my awareness for quite a long time now. And it's basically that your thoughts are not who you are. Your thoughts are part of who you are. Your mind is a tool, but it's not the essence, it's not the core of who you are. And you can exist without thought. That, for a lot of people, that's what meditation's goal is to just exist without thought. But when Descartes came out in the 1800s, the French philosopher Descartes, came out and said, "I think, therefore I am," he thought he found the most foundational truth, but in fact he kind of came across the most foundational illusion of our reality. And that's that we are our thoughts, because we can exist without our thoughts. So that leads me into my next takeaway, which is that enlightenment is rising above thought. And he talks about how Buddha defines enlightenment as the end of suffering. So it's basically a negative definition. It's not a goal for people to strive for, it's just the removal of something else. So what's there when you remove suffering? And his answer kind of implies that you have to figure it out for yourself. But one of the basic tenets of this book is that we cause our own suffering through our minds. And this leads me into my next takeaway, which is the ego and the pain body. And these are basically the things that are causing our suffering internally. Now, the ego has had many definitions throughout the years, but Eckhart Tolle defines it specifically. The ego, he defines as the compulsive thoughts that keep recurring in your head that almost fight against your happiness. So one of the things that Eckhart writes is that identification with the mind causes your thoughts to become compulsive. So here's another passage that I really like. Identification with your mind, which causes thought to become compulsive, is the greatest obstacle towards experiencing being, which is his state of enlightenment, basically, of being happy and, well, just being at peace internally. So, not to be able to stop thinking is a dreadful affliction, but we don't realize this because almost everyone is suffering from it, so it's considered normal. This incessant mental noise prevents you from inner stillness that is inseparable from being. It also creates a false mind-made self that casts a shadow of fear and suffering. And that is what ego is in his thesis here. The false mind-made self. It's how we picture ourselves and how we want other people to see us. Now, the pain body is basically an accumulation of all the trauma that you've experienced over your entire life, basically. From shame, guilt, and wishing you would have done things differently, pain caused by other people towards you. And it's something that we pretty much all have, even though it's not always, for some people it's not present very often, for other people it might be present all the time. But it's that thing that kind of takes people over. If you ever triggered someone where it just seems like they become a totally different person, when they behave like irrationally, that is likely the pain body. It's pretty personal, but for me, a lot of my biggest trauma comes from being ghosted by someone that I was in love with. And there was no indication or anything. You know, one day it was, yeah, I love you, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Next day, won't answer the phone, won't answer texts. Totally off the grid. And it was just, that was it. And that traumatized me to the point where anytime in future relationships, if I start to not hear from someone as much, or I feel like I'm being ignored or left on red now, my mind automatically jumps back to that, because our minds are survival oriented. They want to protect. That's why our brains like to project so much into the future and try to figure out, like, if this terrible thing happens, then I will react with this. But it's something that if you can become conscious of, you can start to heal it. And thankfully in my case, I've pretty much let that go. I'm also grateful that I'm in a relationship with excellent communication. So the next takeaway is the inner energy field as a portal to the present. So do this with me if you're still watching here. Just super simple. Close your eyes and just breathe. And as you breathe, try to feel your whole body from the inside. When I started out, I focused mostly on feeling like the tips of my toes, the tips of my fingers. But now, when I breathe, I try to basically follow the breath throughout my whole body and feel it on the inside, and then as I exhale, feel it coming back out. And that, to me, is the main focus of my meditation when I meditate. I think I talked about that in the last video. But as you do that, you bring yourself into the present moment. You help silence your mind projecting into the future, reliving the past, and you just become fully present. So another key takeaway from this is the removal of psychological time, which connects to what I was just saying. So one key point that Eckhart really drives home is that everything that we experience is in the now. When we are reliving our past, we're doing that now. when we're making goals or projecting negative stuff into the future, we do all that now. And psychological time is a term that he uses of basically when the past and the future completely obscure and cover up what's happening right now, to the point where we don't even really experience our lives in the moment because we're so caught up in the past or the future. And it's another thing that by being aware of it, you can start to notice when it's happening, and just by being aware of it, it brings you back to the present moment. And along the same lines, this last takeaway is that all problems are illusions of the mind. So what does that mean? I mean, it sounds pretty great. But basically, it's saying that when we project into the future and we worry about, what if I lose my job? What if my car breaks down? These aren't real problems. Okay, so to illustrate this, I'd like to read one last passage here. So it says, all problems are illusions of the mind. And this is his whole book is basically structured in a way where it's like taking a lot of questions that he's gotten from teachings and seminars and stuff and kind of just putting them all together into the most streamlined version of the same questions and the same topics that people ask over and over and over. So this was the perspective of someone asking a question, and after coming to the conclusion that everything happens in the now, this person asks, it feels as if a heavy burden has been lifted, a sense of lightness. I feel clear, but my problems are still waiting for me, aren't they? They haven't been solved. Am I not just temporarily evading them? So this is Eckhart's response. If you found yourself in paradise, it wouldn't be long before your mind would say, yes, but ultimately, this is not about solving your problems. It's about realizing that there are no problems, only situations, to be dealt with now, or to be left alone and accepted as part of what is in the present moment until they change or can be dealt with. Problems are mind-made and need time to survive. They cannot survive in the actuality of the now. Focus your attention on the now and tell me what problem you have at this very moment. I'm not getting any answer because it's impossible to have a problem when your attention is fully in the now. A situation that needs to either be dealt with or accepted? Yes. Why make it into a problem? Why make anything into a problem? Isn't life challenging enough as it is? What do you need problems for?
I got 99 problems, but a ain't one. I got the rap patrol on the patrol.
The mind unconsciously loves problems because they give you an identity of sorts. This is normal, and it is insane. A problem means you are dwelling on a situation mentally without being there, or without there being a true intention or possibility of taking action now, and you are unconsciously making it a part of your sense of self. He makes a big distinction between your life and your life situation. Your life is how you actually experience the now, how you are aware of everything going on. Your life situation is, you're 32 years old and you play guitar in a rock band and you need to try to make it over to England to live with your girlfriend, but there's all these stupid red tape situations. So basically what he's saying is that problems are only become problems when you allow them time to dwell on and resist, when really they're just situations that you can either deal with or accept them as they are right now and wait until there's a chance for you to deal with them. But by resisting them and dwelling on them, you're just bringing yourself down for no reason. And that's kind of what we've been conditioned to do more and more in our society, where everything is being fed into us. But we can take that power back, and the power of now is a way to do that. So thank you for watching this video. If you found anything of interest, let me know. If you're interested in reading this book, there's a link down in the description. So thank you for watching this, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Cheers. Oh, guns. See you guys.